ever heard of a smiling entity? Now, imagine combining the sheer terror of looking into Samara's eyes from the ring with the viral impact of Momo, the urban legend that haunted the internet. Sounds terrifying, doesn't it? But the smiling entity goes far beyond that. Its presence isn't just visual, it dominates the psyche, manipulates deep emotions, and has an anatomy so unsettling that it becomes mesmerizing. In this video, we'll dive deep into its essence, exploring how its abilities developed, how they work, and what makes them so unique. Get ready to uncover how this entity, seemingly pulled from our worst nightmares, stands toe-to-toe with the greatest names in supernatural horror and cements itself as one of the most iconic figures in the genre. So, stay until the end and let us know in the comments, do you think the smiling entity surpasses other horror villains? Let's find out together. Development of its abilities. The smiling entity isn't just an evil being, it's the embodiment of a disturbing cycle of trauma and negative emotions. In the movie Smile, it feeds on something far deeper than flesh or blood, emotional pain. Its existence is rooted in traumatic events, and that's precisely what shapes its unique abilities. Unlike many horror villains who gain their powers through curses, rituals, or supernatural accidents, the smiling entity emerges as a parasitic manifestation, transferring from one victim to another. Each host it consumes strengthens its essence, enhancing its ability to manipulate emotions and thoughts. A crucial aspect of its development is its ability to weaponize fear and despair. Unlike figures like Freddy Krueger, who attacks in dreams, the smiling entity doesn't grant its victims the luxury of rest. It infiltrates their minds, amplifies their deepest fears, and drags them into an abyss of paranoia and isolation. Its method of attack also reflects a calculated evolution. First, it subtly insinuates itself, using eerie appearances and visions to destabilize its victims emotionally. Then, as their psychological resistance crumbles, it takes full control, driving them toward a tragic fate. This relentless cycle not only ensures its survival but also expands its influence. The smiling entity is a force that grows with every interaction. Each victim not only increases its power, but also makes it more intelligent, more manipulative, and more ruthless. This constant evolution is what makes it so terrifying and nearly impossible to defeat. Function of its abilities' powers. The smiling entity's greatest weapon is its ability to manipulate human emotions, specifically fear, guilt, and despair. Unlike entities that rely on physical strength or visible supernatural powers, the smiling entity operates almost invisibly, attacking its victims' psyches directly. In Smile, the entity acts as a living curse, passing from person to person through a traumatic event, usually the violent death of someone close to the next host. This cycle creates an unbreakable bond between the entity and its victim, allowing it to penetrate their minds and exploit their deepest vulnerabilities. The smiling entity has the ability to manifest as visions or hallucinations, often taking on familiar or trustworthy forms to disorient its victims. This skill isn't just terrifying, it's a strategic method to isolate the victim from any emotional or rational support, further deepening their despair. One of its most unsettling features is its eerie, grotesque greener facial expression that should symbolize happiness but instead becomes a chilling omen of imminent death. This smile acts as its signature, a clear indication that it is in complete control. Another fascinating ability is its power to manipulate the environment surrounding its victims. It distorts their perception of reality, creating scenarios that make them question what is real and what is illusion. This psychological assault is so effective that victims often end up destroying themselves, believing it to be their only escape. The primary function of its powers is simple but effective: to create an endless cycle of fear and destruction. Each new victim not only strengthens the entity but also spreads its influence, ensuring its continued existence and reign of terror. Intelligence and strategy. What sets the smiling entity apart from other horror figures is its ability to manipulate its victims' minds with near surgical precision. It doesn't act randomly, its actions are carefully calculated to maximize psychological damage and ensure its influence remains unchallenged. The smiling entity uses emotional intelligence as its primary weapon, preying on past traumas and turning them into tools for its victims' destruction. It doesn't just force them to face their fears, it does so in a way that feels personal and inescapable, as if it knows their innermost thoughts. One of its most effective strategies is social isolation. The entity plants seeds of doubt in its victims' minds, making them withdraw from friends, family, and any potential sources of support. By doing this, it ensures that the victim is left alone and vulnerable. Additionally, the smiling entity is incredibly patient. Unlike villains who strike immediately, it prefers a long-term psychological game. It starts with minor hallucinations or visions, gradually increasing their intensity until the victim is fully immersed in terror. This methodical approach not only breaks down their mental resistance, but also leaves them with no time to react or seek help. Another fascinating aspect of its strategy is how it turns the victim's own mind against them. The entity doesn't create fears out of thin air, it amplifies what is already there, whether it be unresolved guilt, past trauma, or hidden anxieties. This personalized form of terror ensures that each victim experiences a unique horror, making it nearly impossible to predict or counter its actions. Ultimately, the smiling entity's intelligence lies in its ability to anticipate and control human reactions. It doesn't need to chase or physically overpower its victims. Its strategy is so effective that they practically give themselves over to it, unable to escape the psychological nightmare it constructs. What makes the smiling entity so special and powerful? The smiling entity stands out in the horror genre for its innovative approach to fear. While many villains rely on physical strength or explicit violence, its true weapon is psychological control. This blend of subtlety and brutal mental torment makes it a uniquely terrifying force. One of its most striking characteristics is its ability to turn a smile normally associated with happiness into a symbol of impending doom. This contrast between the familiar and the macabre creates a deep emotional impact, making its presence even more disturbing. Additionally, the smiling entity is not bound by conventional rules of physics or space. Its existence transcends tangible reality, allowing it to manifest anywhere, at any time. This omnipresence not only amplifies its power, but reinforces the idea that no one is ever truly safe from it. Another special trait is its ability to manipulate time and space within its victims' minds. The smiling entity creates scenarios that defy logic and distort their perception of reality, plunging them into a constant state of confusion and terror. This ability is what makes every encounter with it so unique and unforgettable. Its power also lies in how it perpetuates its cycle of terror. By using unresolved traumas as gateways to new victims, the entity links individual horror to a collective nightmare. Each new host is not just a target but a bridge to its next prey, ensuring its influence spreads endlessly. Ultimately, what makes the smiling entity truly special is its ability to completely exploit human fragility. It doesn't just terrorize, it exposes the flaws and vulnerabilities we tried to hide, making its presence not only terrifying but deeply personal. The smiling entity isn't just a menacing presence in the horror universe, it's a complex being that, through its unique anatomy and extraordinary abilities, stands as one of the most intriguing and unforgettable figures in the genre. Its combination of emotional manipulation, tactical prowess, and psychological dominance makes it an unbeatable adversary capable of surpassing any obstacle. The impact of smiling entity on the storyline goes beyond what we can perceive at first glance. Every move and action is meticulously planned to leave a lasting mark on both the characters and the audience. Its role is not just that of an antagonist, but of a being that represents a new level of threat, intelligence, and power in the horror universe. This makes it unforgettable for fans and elevates it to the status of a genre icon. So, what do you think of the smiling entity's abilities? Does it compare to other iconic horror villains in terms of intelligence and power? Let us know in the comments, we'd love to hear your thoughts. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this and stay up to date on everything in the horror universe. See you in the next video.